So I have a really interesting post I put on social media. You've probably even seen a video about it, which is titled Future Over History. And the idea behind it is about creating your future rather than being dependent always on your history. And funny enough, so I put it onto my Instagram and I put a vote who feels which one would contribute best to them, whether it be their history and future. And surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, 68% actually voted on history, which fascinated me. I had a storm of direct messages where I was able to engage in some fascinating and extremely deep conversations. And my extreme fascination behind this, and the message I'd like to share with you, is that I found one common thing among what everybody was talking about who chose history, was that they believe that history repeats itself. So let me repeat that. They believe that history repeats itself. But does history really repeat itself? Is that really what it's about? So let me take it from two different angles here now. There's no right or wrong, right? Future history, whichever you may feel is best for you. But I'm a person who develops and looks towards the future because I create the future, and I believe that many people who aspire to develop their careers a lot better, their businesses a lot better, their family lives a lot better, you cannot do it by always repeating history, right? And that's why if you talk to certain people, or when I work with certain clients, they always tell me, I wish I was my old self. I wish things went backwards to the way they were. But that's an impossibility. You cannot go backwards. You're always moving forwards. It's inevitable. You're always moving forward, and the only way actually is forward. You cannot always keep going backwards, because that isn't that's a counterintuitive direction, right? So the conversations, all they had in common was the fact that everyone believed that history repeated itself, but history actually doesn't repeat itself. And so I went out to have a direct, intimate conversations with everybody who messaged me and believed that that was the truth. And I tell them, okay, let me break it down for you in a very simple way. And that's why I'm creating this video today. There are mechanics that make history look very similar to each other, right? But there's context and relevance that change with time, and they never repeat themselves. Context is time, place, and circumstances, and relevance is how the circumstances align with the conditions of that time, okay? So the things that your father, grandfather, or grandparents, or generations down your family that they had experienced are nowhere near the same. Even within a single generation from father to son, it is very difficult to have a direct association in that history will repeat itself. Now, the reason I believe that people always say that history repeats itself is that they're looking for a comfort zone, and people feel comfortable in believing that I can predict the future because history is going to repeat itself. But does it always really repeat itself in the same way? We make it do that because we try to find the similar mechanics and hang on to them and don't let go of them, because we always want to feel comfortable. But if you're a person who's looking to get out of your comfort zone, you're looking to advance in whether it be business, personal life, or career, you need to understand that history doesn't repeat itself, and you are in control of your future. And the way you're in control of your future is that you can create it. Now, I've worked for many years in policy, high-level policy positions, whether it be corporate or government, where our job is to actually predict and anticipate the future. And we had a very simple rule of thumb that 99.99% of all predictions are wrong. Right? I've written hundreds of business plans and business pitches over the years. I can tell you that almost every single assumption we put in there, no matter how well studied they are, almost most of the time are actually wrong. It almost comes to a point, what's the use of even assuming? And that's where ideas like flexibility and agility have come out, where learning play a fundamental role in changing the mechanics and implementation of things, because you're able to move with the way things are actually working, that make you even more dynamic. Your assumptions, even if they were correct today, may not be correct tomorrow. The decisions you make today, they're like milk. Decisions are like milk. They expire, right? You drink that milk today, it tastes great. Tomorrow, it may not be the right thing. We look back and think we've made the wrong decisions, but did we really? Maybe we made the right decisions at that time, but today they're not the right decisions. And that's where history does not repeat itself. So for those who answered to believe that history is what's controlling them, I'm doing this video to let you know that history does not control you. The future is actually created and dictated by what you actually do today. And it starts with having a mindset of abundance, knowing that everything and anything is actually possible. And through those possibilities and having that belief in those possibilities, you actually can create your future. You can go from poor to rich. You can go from uneducated to educated. You can go from one country to another. You can go from an entry level to becoming the CEO of a company. You can transform into almost anything you want. Right? We are conditioned through education and pop culture and culture that always seem to tell us that there's one or two ways that, or only way that you can do it, or people who tell you cannot do it. You cannot do it. Those are the people that they themselves cannot do it, and they themselves see history repeating itself, and they apply it to you. Say no. Say, I can create my future and I can build a better future for myself because I can design my own destiny. And that's what the future and creating the future is all about. And that's why when I talk about future over history.